Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ever since we declared our independence, the American independence, we have been tested time and again by various political, economic, and religious factors to divide us. However, at the end, we have come out strong as one nation. Conflicts like the Civil War, the Great Depression, the World War, Pearl Harbor, women's rights, the Roe versus Wade abortion issues, the Vietnam War, then the civil rights, the budget deficits, unemployment, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and events like that have been very difficult on us as Americans. It tends to divide, but at the end, we'll make it through, and sanity will prevail.
One of the most divisive and important events in American history, the Civil War, also called the War Between the States, pitted countrymen against countrymen in the new and developing Republic of the United States of America. Among the many issues at stake were the role of central government, states' rights, slavery, and the fate of the Union itself, which had borne our fledgling nation through the American Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Grim, brutal, and utterly personal, the Civil War claimed more American lives than any other war fought before or since the founding of the United States. No other war contained such philosophical and emotional impact, since the issues and concerns that were on the hearts and minds of the politicians, statesmen, combatants, and ordinary citizens of the late 19th century can still be seen in evidence even in modern times. No modern politician can ignore or discount the attitudes and mindsets that were forged in the Civil War and expect a measure of success, for many of those attitudes for both the North and the South still thrive in American society, culture, and debate. One of the most divisive military efforts in United States history since the Civil War was the Vietnam War. A subject of widely differing opinions at the time, the controversy rages still today over whether or not America should have involved itself in this bloody and hard-fought conflict. The primary aim of our involvement in Vietnam was to contain the spread of communism in Southeast Asia.
Is perhaps best remembered by Americans as the war that divided the nation at home, even as our soldiers were fighting it overseas. While there had been anti-war protests throughout American history, Vietnam was the first time such a movement had enough support to influence both U.S. strategy and policies. The anti-war movement rapidly grew so large that it directly affected the outcome of the war.
History, I think. And all during the war, I was deeply disturbed by it, and particularly by what it was doing to a whole generation of Americans and to the country itself. To me, this is the greatest division we've suffered apart from the Civil War. And we're still suffering it.
Stand a chance, they kill them.
Not the church, not the state. Women must decide their fate. Not the church, not the state. Women must decide their fate.
Listen, Jeffrey Dahmer believed in freedom of choice.
Let those who reject truth, let the God haters, let the child killers see and fear.
This is the second death, the lake of fire. Abortionists are murderers. Therefore, abortionists should be
Governor Palin, you said you wouldn't call those who bomb abortion clinics terrorists.
Oh, terrorists are only terrorists if I disagree with them. Those bombers are part of God's army. They can't be terrorists. And if those doctors don't want to get bombed, they should elect me and John McCain. We'll get that silly Roe v. Wade overturned and outlaw abortions, and then nobody will have to bomb their clinics because they won't even exist.
It appears that there is more and more fire and smoke enveloping the very top of the building. And as fire crews are descending on this area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
Did you hear the explosion from your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window. I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh, my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
Hundreds of anti-war protesters took their message from the streets of Washington across the Potomac River.
Iraqis are bleeding from the handcuffs. They're freezing, they're terrified, but still the abuse continues. The soldiers decide to force them into sexual positions. Nobody here has bothered to investigate the rape allegation.
The controversy over the Muslim Community Center in New York, so-called the Ground Zero, has unraveled the difficulties the Catholic, Jewish, Mormon, Wicca, and other communities have endured. We have come a long way to embrace and accept the otherness of other. However, this year has given rise to yet another temptation to blame Islam, calling it an evil religion, and calling its prophet a false prophet writing a false book. Obviously, these statements from various pulpits divide us. It pitches one American against the other. And that is okay. But the important thing we have to do as Americans is come together as Americans and build cohesive societies where some of the myths, we pull it out from the reality and accept the reality and learn to look to each other as Americans and nothing but Americans. Then we can hope for a cohesive America, and we will come out of this conflict one more time strong as Americans together. Religion has been used, abused, and misused to someone else's advantage. As Americans, are we going to let that happen? No. We can pull ourselves together and not fall for those temptations to divide us or divide ourselves. Goodness will come to our rescue if we make an effort. As members of diverse family of faiths, we seek to demystify the myths, malice, and falsification of our respective faiths, all faiths. It is time for all of us to gather and understand Quran, in this instance, the holy book of Muslims, which has been subject of attack by a few among us. Indeed, a conference is scheduled on December 5 It is a positive response to negative sermons delivered from a few pulpits around America this year. I am an American, and this issue, Quran, like the Civil War, Roe versus Wade, the abortion, all those issues are part of our society. This issue about religion is an issue we need to face. There are a lot of myths about it. We are here to demystify the myths. On December 5 at the Quran conference, please make sure to attend the conference on December 5 between 3 to 6 at the Unity Church of Dallas. Details are at the website Quran, Quran, QuranConference.com. Thank you.
Is a false religion built upon a false book that is written by a false prophet.
And is there not a logical extension to Mr. Gingrich's conclusions about Cordoba and triumphalism? Virtually every church, virtually every synagogue, indeed every mosque built on this continent stands where a Native American lived or died or was buried or saw his world, his religions included, wiped out by us. What are we then, Mr. Gingrich? And by the way, a point Mr. Gingrich has not even whispered as he has shouted fire in a crowded theater. When the historical implications of Cordoba were made clear to the backers of this project, the property developer, Sharif Gamal, changed the name. They already compromised. We are calling it Park 51 because of the backlash to the name Cordoba House, he told the Financial Times. It will be a place open to all New Yorkers, and that is a very New York name. A very New York name, like Ground Zero. Except that this place, Park 51, is not even at Ground Zero, not even right across the street. Even the description of it being 2 blocks away is generous. It is 2 blocks away from the northeast corner of the World Trade Center site. From the planned location of the 9/11 memorial, it's more like 4 or 5 blocks even. You know what is right across the street, though? I went there yesterday to refresh my sense of the World Trade Center in which I worked nearly 30 years ago. At Church and Vesey Street, so close that the barbed wire of Ground Zero obscures its spire, is St. Paul's Chapel. Been there since 1766, where Washington went the day he was inaugurated, where the first responders came for relief 9 years ago. You know, it's also closer to Ground Zero than this Muslim community center will be. Church of St. Peter at Church and Barclay Streets. As the sign says, New York's oldest Catholic parish. People hear Ground Zero Mosque and they think Mecca in the backyard and a loud call to prayer, and they take umbrage. We got no more than a few inches of skin and a couple of pieces of bone. Ground Zero is the burial place of my son, said Joyce Boland at the public hearing about this center. I don't want to go there and see an overwhelming mosque looking down at me. I honor her pain and her fear, but Mrs. Boland has nothing to worry about. Unless she walks directly over to it, several blocks away, she'll never see the thing. Because this is America, damn it. And in America, when somebody comes for your neighbor, or his Bible, or his Torah, or his atheist manifesto, or his Koran, you and I do what our fathers did, and our grandmothers did, and our founders did. You and I speak up.